Hello and welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to make this simple printable note paper with these basic pencil and eraser designs. So let's just get started. First off, we'll make the design of a pencil and an eraser, and then we'll arrange them to make our final notepad. I'll just create everything right here so you don't have to create a new one. So now first go to your rectangle tool. If you cannot find it, right click and then rectangle tool. Click and drag to make a rectangle for your pencil. Let's have no stroke, but for fill, let's give some color. I'm just going to go to my libraries and choose a color, which is something, the lighter version of it. Next, we're going to make the head of the pencil. So first click on your selection tool and make sure you click outside so this is not selected. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so that I can see the edges clearly. Now I'm going to my pen tool, click on this. Now click. And as you click, you can see this pink line. If you cannot see it, you can go to View and then Smart Guides. So let me just go here and click and then come back and click at this point again and click back at the starting point to make a complete loop. Now go back to your selection tool and let's give a color to this. Let me just pull this up a little bit to make it a little more pointier. But we want a rounded edge, so I'm just going to my direct selection tool, click and drag to select just that edge, click and drag it in to make it a little rounder. Now go back to your selection tool. Now click on this, hold your Option or Alt key down, click and drag it out to make a copy. Now go to your rectangle tool and let's make a rectangle about this size. Go to your selection tool, click and select everything and go to your Pathfinder. If you cannot find it here, it's in Window and then Pathfinder. And let's click on minus front. So your tip is ready. You can give this any color that you want. You could keep it as black like I've shown it here, or you could change this to different colors. So when we put this in our note paper here, you could make this like each pencil to show different color. So I'll just go ahead and make it black for now. And then I'll go ahead and place it here so that it matches. Just go scroll in and make sure it's nicely placed. Our next task is to add the shadows. So for this, first of all, I'm just going to take it and click and drag and place it in here. So as you can see, this is not exactly in the center. So I'm just going to click on that and everything and then go to align. If you cannot see it, it's in window. And then I'm going to click here and say align to selection and then click on center. So this kind of aligns it everything, but it has moved the top part. So I'm just going to select this and move this so that it kind of sits nicely with the rest of the pencil. So let's go ahead and create our shadows. So go to your pen tool again. And a point of reference is going to be this point and this point here for the rectangle. And that's why we created this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a complete shadow kind of thing. So click here, go back and click at this point, click here. So this should come a little bit like this. Click back here, here, and go ahead and close the loop. So let's keep this black, and now we're going to reduce the transparency of it. Go to your transparency. Again, you can find it in window and then transparency. And then reduce this. So about 20%. And then click on your selection tool and click outside and you can see a little bit of shadow in there. So now let's go ahead and copy this and reflect it on the other side. So right click, transform, reflect, and click on vertical and say copy. I'm just going to click, hold my shift key down and drag it so that it sits nicely and snaps like this. But I think I'm going to decrease the opacity a little bit, make it a little lighter. Yeah, maybe keep it at 8%. I think that should be fine. And if you feel like you want to increase the size, just go to your direct selection tool, click, and then increase the size. And now you can go ahead and delete this rectangle if you want the inside color. So I can just click on this, and if I want to change some color, just click on this like this and it changes the complete color of the pencil. Alright, now let's make a little bit of shadow over here. So go to your pen tool. I'm going to click and then click again and then click at this point and drag to make a little curved line, and then this one, and then go back here and maybe make a little curved line again, click, and then click, and then close the loop. And now let's give it black and reduce the opacity and click outside. And now let's go ahead and add a bit of extra things over here. So go to your rectangle tool and then click and drag to make a rectangle, something like this, and let's color it white and make sure it fits in nicely within this. Make sure it does not have any stroke. So now click on this, and now you have to send it behind these shades. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this and hold my shift key and click on the second shadow and press Command Shift open square bracket to bring it to front so that it looks like there's a small bend over here. Let me just increase this a bit. I went ahead and made an eraser for this, but you don't really need it if you're going to use it in this kind of a situation because it's going to get cut off by the page anyway. But if you want, you can go ahead and make an eraser and I'll show you how to do that. Go to your rectangle tool, click at this point and drag and make a rectangle. Go to your direct selection tool, click and select only these 2 points, click and drag it in to make it rounded. Now you can go to your rectangle tool again. So you can go here, click and drag to make a rectangle. Okay. And then you can color it black. Yes, so our pencil is ready and this is how simple it is. If you want to change the color, just click here in the center and then you can give any color you want and you'll have a new color pencil ready. So next up is the eraser. Let's try and make an eraser. For this, go to your rectangle tool, click and drag to make a rectangle. And then let's actually go to our direct selection tool, click and drag, and let's make this a little round. Now go to your selection tool again, hold your Option or Alt key down, click, hold Shift and move it a little bit to the side. Let's give it different colors. For this, I'm going to give something which is a little darker than white. And for this, I'm going to give something really white. You could color it however you want. It's totally up to you. So we want the shadow on this side. So I'm just going to click on this. Press Command Shift, open square bracket to send it to back. And now let's go ahead and fix these edges. So we're going to make this edge over here. So let's just do that. First, go to your pen tool, right click and click on Add Anchor Point tool. And let's go here and add an anchor point. So make sure you hover over this rectangle and you can see this slight blue color light up. And so you can just scroll around and then press it here so that there's an extra anchor point now. Now go to your direct selection tool and then click on this point and then now you can move it however you want. And now you can go to your direct selection tool again. So here if you feel like it looks very weird with respect to this, so I'm just going to click on this. So I'll just click on this point again so it's selected and then adjust it so that it goes and sits close to the eraser. Alright, now it's time to make one more of this. So I'm just going to click on this, Control C to copy, Control F to paste on top. I'll go back to my selection tool and then reduce this so that it's about this size. And now we have to fix these things over here. So I'm just going to my direct selection tool, then click on this so that it goes ahead and joins like this. Now you can click on this and give it some color. And let's make this stripe. Go to your rectangle tool, click and drag. And now let's make this dark blue. Click outside and click and drag to make another rectangle of similar size. And now go to your direct selection tool and click on this, hold your shift key and click on this, and now we'll move this up so that it matches the line segment below. Yes, that looks fine. So eraser is ready. You can still give it some other color if you want, like gray or anything that you want to make. Click on everything, press Command G to group them together, and now go back to your selection tool and drag it a bit so that it's as big a size as you want. So our pencil and our eraser are both ready, and now it's time to make this note paper. So let's just go ahead and create a bunch of these pencils in different colors. So I'm just going to click on this, hold my Option key down, click and drag to make a copy, and I'll press Command D to make multiple copies of it. Okay, I guess these many colors are enough. Now I'll click on each of these and give them a different color. And now let's go ahead and create our paper. So for that, you need an artboard of, let's go ahead and say File New. Let's choose a A4 size and then click OK. Make sure it's 300 ppi, click Create. Let's bring in our artwork. Click and select, Control C to copy and Control V to paste. I'm just going to drag it in here. And now we need to arrange these things. So before that, select everything and press Command G to group them together. And let's do this for everything. Now click, hold Shift key down and make sure it goes and snaps in place like this. And we're going to do the same thing for everything. Alright, we have one set ready. And let's just make sure there's no overlapping anywhere. Okay, they all look pretty neat and nice. Now I'm just going to click and select everything and I'll just make a copy of it here. Hold your Option key down, click, hold your Shift key down and drag and it will make a copy. Okay, so now I'll just click and select few of these things. Click on your Option or Alt, click, and let's move it so that they sit right in the center of these pencils. You can see these pink lines which help you control that. And now we have to send this to back, Command Shift and open square bracket. And it goes and sits in the back. So here you can actually select everything like this and press Command G to group them together. You can actually move them up a little bit or move them down a little bit depending on how you want them to be spread across. So once you have this, I'm just going to take these two of them, Option or Alt key, and then press them and place them here. And for this as well, we could do that, but let's just go ahead and click and select everything. And we need to reduce the size because this is way too big. Hold your Shift key down while doing that. Click, and let's just place this here. So we don't really need these things. So this looks fine. I'm just going to click and select everything and make sure it is nice and aligned. You could adjust this a bit here. And here as well, it looks very odd. So I'm just going to click and select everything. And we're going to reduce the size so that they match perfectly. It's a little bit off. Okay. So now you can see these pencils, they match the end perfectly. So this is what we need. And now we'll create the other layers. Go to your layer. If you cannot see it, it's under Window and then Layer. Click on New. Let's close this. Drag it to the layer below the artwork layer and let's lock the artwork layer. In layer 2, let's go to Rectangle tool, click and drag to make a rectangle. And let's give this any color that you want for your note paper. I'm just going to click on white and make sure there's no stroke on it. And it's okay if the rectangle is bigger than your artboard. We're going to cut that off. Now let's lock this. Click on New Layer again. And in this layer, we're going to make our line segments. So click on your line segment tool. Click, hold your Shift key and drag to make a line. So click on Stroke and let's give it some color. I've given it a blue color. Just like that, you could give it anything. Now go to Stroke. If you cannot see this, it's under Window and then Stroke. Here let's give really thin, that's 0.5. Let's make it rounded and rounded. And for dash lines, choose this one and let's give it 4 point. And let's click outside and look at it. Now we're going to duplicate this. Click on your Option or Alt key, click, hold your Shift key down and drag it to be about 0.40 inches. Now press Command D to repeat them. And let's do that until the end of the paper. Okay, now everything is selected. Let's just go look at the layer. Other two layers are locked. So press Command A to select everything, and that's going to select only the line segments. So press Command G to group them together. All right, now let's lock this for time being and click on New Layer. Let's go ahead and bring in our eraser. Just going to click on this, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste. And now you have the rotate tool, click, hold your shift key, and then rotate it so that it sits like this. Now let's reduce the size to match the size of each line here. Let's go in here. This is a little too big. Reduce it. Okay. And let's make sure it's neatly placed right in the center of the line segment. Click on that, hold your Option or Alt key down, click, hold your shift, and drag it so that it again coincides with the line segment, and press Command D to repeat it. Okay, so your document is ready, and now it's time to export it. Go to File. Make sure you have saved this as an Illustrator file. If you haven't, go to File and save a copy. This is really important. And in here, let's give the name of the file and choose PDF and click on Save. So here we're going to try and make it high quality print. Do not preserve illustrating editing capabilities. If you uncheck this, your file size will reduce a lot, and you should definitely do this when you're doing it as save a copy. Uncheck this, and now go to Marks and Bleeds and click on Trim Marks, because we need to add trim marks into your design so that when you print it out, you can cut it out and make sure that it's nice and crisp. Now save PDF, click OK. Let's go check the file out. So this is the file, and you can see it has trim marks here. And if you scroll down, you can see all the pencils very nicely lined up. So you can also save this as an image by going to File, Export, Export As, and then giving it as a PNG, and that would look like this. So I've used really bright colors in my actual video, but you could go ahead and use whatever color you want and make it perfectly nice. You can remove these things, extras actually, if you want. Go back to your artwork layer and then click and remove these things. Okay, so basically this is how you create this printable note paper. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't want to follow the tutorial, I'll leave a link to download this printable for free on my blog. So do go check it out. And also sign up for my newsletter and you get really good freebies every month. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.